Okay, is the slide visible to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So as we said that we will start again with the aldol condensation stereochemistry. So we give a little bit of brief introduction in the last class, and today we will give in a proper manner. If you do not understand, you just stop me. And this class is again, it would be a bit intensive, so you can pay some attention. Okay, so this slide we already spoke in the last class, but I will just give you as a reminder. So what we said here is previously we used some aldehyde or some carbonyl compound like acetaldehyde, where there was no scope of creation or the generation of any chiral centers, because you have mostly hydrogens that were present or some other only one group. So there are not much scope of generation of a chiral center here. But now we are saying that when we take an unsubstituted when we take a unsymmetrical ketone and we take a different unsubstituted enolate, then we generate one chiral center here if it is unsubstituted at this position, right? Then we generate just one chiral center here. So in this case, we have the possibility of forming a pair of enantiomers, correct? But now the situation would become a little bit different if we have a substitution at this center, For example, when we take this kind of compound and we take a base, it will certainly give the enolate, correct? We have this en and enolate. This is the enolate species, where this position is now substituted compared to here. And now if we take a aldehyde or ketone, we can generate two different chiral centers, basically. And then what are the possibilities that we said? That the possibilities are actually four. This is RS, SR, RR and SS. Four possibilities. So then we said that there is definitely a predominance, there is definitely a majority that is ruling for this reaction. What are the criteria or what are the factors that affect this kind of predominance of stereochemistry, one isomer over the other? Or how do you generate a major product out of this reaction? Got it? Clear? So in this case, then we have two possibilities that we are getting from here. That one is the syn aldol, another could be anti-aldol. This is the backside. I mean that this will be a dotted line. Either we can get a syn aldol or we can get an anti-aldol. So which one will be the major one? Which one will be the obtained product, experimentally obtained product? In this case, we see that this syn aldol is the major product. But why? What are the reasons that only syn aldol will come as a major product? We do not see any forces that is guiding here. It's not apparently visible. But then how we get only syn aldol as a major product and anti-aldol as a minor product? This is the questions that we are going to ask today to ourselves. Okay. Okay. So one guiding thumb of rule that you can remember is that when you have a cis enolate, how it is cis? So this OLI and ME, these are in the same side. So when this is cis enolate, then it is observed that you get the syn aldol as the major product. When it is trans enolate, OLI and Ame are on the other side. When it is trans-enolate, it has been observed that an anti-aldol is the major product. So cis-enolate to syn-aldol, trans-enolate to anti-aldol. Very easy to remember. Cis to syn, trans to anti. Okay. Now why? Why is this happening? Let's see the mechanism. So this is very, very crucial. If you understand this one, you can understand everything, all other slides in this class. If you do not understand, please stop me at any cost. Okay, I will explain you not once or twice. I will explain you 10 times if it is necessary. But please stop me and ask me any questions that you have. Okay. Before going to this, I will again bring a recap of two things that you have learned in your previous classes. The first thing is you have learned little bit about the conformation, correct? So let's say this is your cyclohexane. Cyclohexane has how many conformation? It has total 2 conformation. Okay, one is the chair form, another is the board form. Which one is more stable?
So chair.
Chair form, yes, because in board form you have these two interactions, steric interactions, but in chair form these are axial and equatorial, but these are well spaced, so they do not face as such much steric interaction. So comparing these two, the chair form is the most stable, as you all know. Okay, so this is the first piece of information that you need to keep in mind. And the second piece of information is, we already told that let's say when we take this carbonyl compound, let's say this is an aldehyde. So this will have two faces. What are the two faces? Anybody wants to tell?
Reface and C-face.
Yes, perfect. Very good. So reface and C-face. How do you calculate? You need to calculate by the priority sequence rule. In this case, your oxygen, let's say R is a carbon center, something starting with carbon. Then this is your priority A, this is B, this is C. A to B to C clockwise. So this upside is your reface and the back side is your C face. So it has two faces. Just remember this one. It has two faces, a reface and a C face. So cyclohexane is stabilized in chair form, and this aldehyde or ketone has two faces, reface and C face. Correct? These two pieces of information is required here. Okay, done. Now let's take an enolate. So first we are taking a cis-enolate. Okay. How do we form this cis-enolate? Let's say we have this kind of a compound. Let's say we have this compound. Here we are writing pH as X. So then X, CO, CH2, CH3. And now if you pick up a proton here, it has only one possibility. This proton is only the acidic proton. If it takes a proton from here, then you get this kind of enolate. So this is a cis-enolate, right? So we are talking about the cis-enolate for the first example. Okay. So this is our cis-enolate where this OLI and Me are on the same side of your C double bond, C bond. Okay. And now we have this one in reface and C face. Okay. So we will be taking just one face. Right now this is A to B to C. So clockwise. That means this upside is your reface. That means the back side is your C face. So now it is facing C face towards your enolate. Correct? So consider this enolate is in the back. This aldehyde is in the top. Okay. Now how do you see? Do you see this enolate here? Basically it is the same here, just upside down. So just rotate it like 180 degree, like that. Okay. So consider there is a axis and rotate it to 180 degree so that O comes down, methyl comes here. Something like that here. Not 180, maybe 120. Okay. Methyl here and down here. So it is 120. Okay. If it is 120, then methyl was here. 120 means it will come to the down. It has come down. Here you have a proton, right? You have a hydrogen. not proton, you have a hydrogen. So this hydrogen coming here, OLI was here, so this is your double bond. So OLI is O and this is your Li, and X, so 120 degree means X will come to the top. So X has come to the top. So now you see how I placed this cis-enolate, just 120 degree rotation, and then you place it here. X is on top, OLI and Me, and you have a double bond here. Got it? And this one is facing the C face, because A to B to C, the front face is the re face, so the back face must be the C face. Okay. Now these two species are connected or tied by this lithium bond. So this oxygen is also connected by this lithium bond, and now this actually forms the transition state. I must have put this as a transition state. Okay, this is a correction. You must do the correction on your own. So put as a third bracket and put a transition state. This is basically the transition state structure, how it works. So basically how it works, oxygen has a negative charge comes back, double bond attacks to this aldehyde center. This is what happens in this kind of transition state. So this is a chair form like we described here. In this chair form, if you see, methyl is on the axial, this X is again on the axial, but this X and there is a hydrogen, so the interaction is a bit less, and importantly this R is in equatorial. Okay, so that is how it is a bit more stabilized. We will see that which one is more stable, which one is less stable. We'll come to that little bit later. So first of all, let's understand how the interaction is happening. So this is how your enolate is placed, this is how your aldehyde is placed, and now then this bond will come back, OLI bond will come back, there is a double bond, this double bond attached to this carbon center, and then this will take this Li. That is how your arrow will move. Got it? OLI bond will come back here, there is a double bond, this double bond will attack to this center, and this double bond will pick this OLI. So this is the 6-member chair-like transition state. Okay. So now then this bond breaks and you get this as a double bond. You got it. There was a double bond. This double bond has now make this new bond. This is your new bond. You can see my cursor, right? You can all see my cursor. You can all see the cursor. So this is the new bond that has generated. And then CO, it was a double bond, but now it has formed a single bond. So C, single bond O, and this O has picked up this Li. So now it is OLI. Got it? So now you can easily transform this one into this one. Correct? Okay. Now what happened? You consider this bond, and this R bond. So R to carbon, carbon to new bond to here. This as a plane. Consider these 4 atoms as a plane. Right? Now in this plane, methyl is on the bottom, and here hydrogen is also up, so O is also on the bottom, or OLI on the bottom. So we place methyl on the back, in the bottom, and O is also in the back side. Okay, so behind the plane. This is also behind the plane, this is also behind the plane. So your stereochemistry is kind of fixed here. Now this is what? Syn aldol. Both are in the same side. So this is syn aldol. So everybody understood this part or not? Any doubt?
Sir,
I didn't get the.
can you repeat about the initial one, the attack?
Okay.
The reface and the C-face attacks.
Okay. So this is your enolate, correct? This is your enolate and this is your aldehyde. So how is the reaction generally go on? Forget about the stereochemistry. How it would go on? You have a negative charge on oxygen. This negative charge would come back. This double bond enolate would come and attack to this carbon center. Correct? This is how it works. Now we are arranging this particular attack into this kind of transition state. So now you know how I placed this cis enolate into this kind of fashion. So basically, as I said, you just rotate it 120 degree. Then this methyl comes down and oxygen was here, it will also come down here. So that is how enolate is placed here. This one we can place on top of it. Now this is A to B to C. So the top of this aldehyde is re phase. So the bottom, the back side is C phase. So it is facing with the C phase to this enolate. So the attack will happen to the C phase. Okay. Now then OLI, this bond will be broken. This OLI bond has to break because this negative charge will come back. So this OLI bond will be broken and this O negative charge will come back to this bond. It will form a double bond. Here you had a double bond. This double bond was here. Now this double bond will be broken and form a new bond here. This double bond will be broken and form a new bond from this carbon center to this carbon center. This is what is happening, this carbon center to this carbon center, correct? So this double bond is breaking down and this bond is forming from this carbon center to this carbon center, and then this double bond will break and it will form OLI. This Li will be picked up by this one. So this double bond will be broken and is taking this Li bond. So this is how is our transition state. So how does this bond look now? This bond is broken here. This bond will form double bond, as we said, it is double bond. This double bond here, it is broken, so it is single bond. Now from this carbon to this carbon there is a bond, so this bond has newly formed. This bond has newly formed. Okay. Then this double bond becomes single bond like that, and it has picked up a Li. So you have a single bond here. Okay. So now you just acidify it, Li will be converted into OH. That is what we have done here. Okay. Now, how to convert this one into this kind of structure? We consider this C double bond O, this carbon, this methyl containing carbon, this R containing carbon, and R group. These are the four groups. Consider them as a plane. In that plane, whatever is in the below of the plane, put them below. Whatever is up, put them up. So here hydrogen is up, this hydrogen is also up. So here also hydrogen is up, or methyl is down and OH is down. So methyl is down, OH is down. So we get syn aldol from there. Correct? Now got it, or still any question?
So I got it. And so one more question about this transition state is this a proposed transition state, or do we have proof that it really forms a chair conformation?
Mostly it is proposed, but in some cases generally they find some sort of crystal structure. Okay, so this transition state is called Zimmermann-Traxler transition state. Yeah, so this one I would strongly recommend you to see the Cladence book. Okay, this is really amazingly given there. Your concept will be, if anything is left, it will be fully clear if you see the Cladence book. Okay, I suppose you understood everything, but still, if you read a little bit book, you will gain more depth of it. So this is taken from mainly the Cladence book. This is called Zimmermann-Traxler model. Okay, so then you can get all the other crucial information about this transition state. Okay. Now, so this is actually 1/4 of this problem. So why 1/4? We just took the C phase. So this is C phase of this aldehyde. Now we have to rotate it to make it rephase. So now we have rotated it. Now it is rephase. Why rephase? A to B to C, anti-clockwise from this side. Okay. So this is your S, means the front is your C phase. That means the back is your rephase. Here A to B to C, clockwise. So the up is your rephase, back is your C phase. Here A to B to C, anti-clockwise. The top is your C phase, That means the back is your re phase. Okay. Now in this case, rest everything is same. So you take this carbon C bond O and just rotate 180 degree. Then R comes here, H comes here, like this one. Take this bond and just rotate 180 degree. R comes here, H comes here. Exactly, that is what we have done. But the moment we have done this, now you can see that we have this X group here and R group here. So this X and R will have a steric repulsion. Again, put this in third bracket and put the transition state mark. This is a transition state, so you must put it under third bracket. Okay. So in this transition state, what we see that there is a strong repulsion or steric interaction between this X and the R. Okay. Rest everything is same. This bond will come back. This double bond which was here will form the new bond. This is the new bond. This double bond will become single bond and this will OLI bond will be forming. So you get a double bond. This new bond has formed. This double bond has broken. OLI bond has formed. Again, how do we do the up and down? The plane is this C double bond O containing carbon, this carbon, and this hydrogen or this R. This you consider them as a one plane. Okay. Or let's say this hydrogen, because R anyway you cannot, it does not appear like a plane, but okay. Now in that case your methyl is again on the bottom. And okay, no, this one actually you need to rotate it. So how do you make it in a plane? Rotate it like 120 degree. So this R will come to H, this OLI will come to R, and then H will come to OLI. Okay, this R, H and OLI anti-clockwise rotate 120 degree. Okay, otherwise this does not appear like a plane. No, this carbon, this carbon, this carbon and R is on top. It is not a plane. So bring it into the plane. So this, and then this R, H and OLI, these three group anti-clockwise rotate 120 degree. Could you visualize it? Is it any problem? R, H and OLI anti-clockwise rotate to 120 degree. Then what will happen? R will come here, OLI will go to R position and H will go to OLI's position. Now this carbon, this carbon, this carbon and R group that will be forming here will form the plane. Here you will see that the methyl is in the back and OLI will be on top because R has come here, OLI has gone top. So here you see that the methyl is coming towards the down and this OLI has gone to the top. So this is how you get the anti-aldol. Got it? Is this clear? Is this clear, everybody?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What about others?
So, one thing, what was the effect of the interaction of X and R?
Yes, that is what I'm coming now. Okay, that is what I'm coming now. Yeah.
Okay, sir.
So, yeah, what about others? Everybody understood? I want a yes from everybody. Okay, did you understand all?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay then, I assume that all of you have understood. If not, please stop me at this point. Okay. Now, so then in this way we got a syn aldol. In this way we got an anti-aldol. Okay. Now here we have written major, here we have minor. Why? It is because in this case you have X and you have H. The steric interaction is minimum. In this case, in this transition state, you have X and R, which are both in the axial position. So they will have strong steric interaction. Correct? Because of this strong steric interaction, this transition state will not be preferred or it will be disfavored. So this transition state will be favorable. So that means this aldehyde would prefer to be attacked from the C phase rather than from the re phase. This is where the preference is coming. Do you catch it now? This is the catching moment. Okay, you must catch this point. Where from that preference is coming? The preference is coming in this transition state, and that is why this transition state is super interesting. Okay, very important. So in this transition state, then the C phase will be preferred, because the moment this aldehyde rotates to be attacked by Re phase, immediately they will start to form steric interaction. So this moiety would like to adopt a geometry which is represented by this transition state, and that is why your syn aldol will be the favorable product, or will be the major product. Got it? Clear? Any question or any doubt? Okay. So I said that this is just 1/4 done in this case. Now we have half done. Why half done? We have taken this cis enolate, we have taken rephase, C phase, and we have taken rephase. What are the other half? When you take the trans enolate. So now let's see what happens with the trans enolate. So this is your trans enolate. Okay. Why trans? Because methyl and OLI is on the opposite side, in the other side. So this is your trans enolate. Again, we will have two possibilities. One is C phase attack, another is Re phase attack. Okay. So when this is in C phase, A to B to C, so the backside is your C phase, and this is your trans enolate. Again, in this case also, what you do, you rotate 120 degree. So the methyl which was in the back towards the below, it has now come here. This one was up, it has come to like 120 degree here. X, it was here, it has come up to here. Correct? So you can easily rotate this and you can visualize this, right? This is also transition state. Put the transition state mark. Then this attacks from your C phase. Okay. So then what will happen? OLI bond coming down, this double bond attacking to this carbon center, this double bond O taking up this Li. Okay. So then you form this one. From here you get this one. You get a double bond O, CX, methyl is on the equatorial position, and then R is also equatorial position. So in this case it is very easy to visualize, because this carbon center, this carbon center, this carbon and R, they are already in one plane. In this case, hydrogen is in the below the plane, methyl is on the above the plane, and in this plane methyl is above, and here hydrogen is above, so O is below, OH will be below. So here we have drawn methyl is above, up the plane, and OH is below the plane. So we are getting anti-aldol. Got it? What are the other possibility? The fourth possibility is when we rotate it into the attack for the Re phase, A to B to C. So the backside is your Re phase. Got it? So then again, this bond is coming, this bond is forming, this double bond O is picking a line, double bond O, this bond becomes single bond, this is a new bond, this double bond becomes single bond, and it picks a line. Here again you have to rotate 120 degree. So R comes to H position, H comes to OLI, and OLI comes to the R's position. So then this becomes your plane. On this plane, methyl is on top and OH is also top, because you have rotated it. So OH has gone to up, right? So this is how it becomes, like this is also top, this is also top. Okay. So this is our again syn aldol. Now, which one will be minor, which one will be major? You already can guess it. Now you already know. Here we have again the steric interaction here. You can just put a steric interaction sign. When you practice in your notebook, make it a steric interaction sign here. So because of this steric interaction, this transition state will not be a favorable one. Okay, pseudoaxial, R is present at pseudoaxial, so it is disfavored. Okay. So then this is our favorable transition state. So then here anti-aldol is the major product. Okay. Now the question is, from here we are getting anti-aldol as the major product. From here we are getting syn-aldol as the major product. So when you are taking this kind of molecule, this kind of compound, how do you know which major product is actual major product? How do you know whether this major product is your major product or this major product is your major product? Did you get my answer? Did you get my question?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So what would be your answer?
So it will depend, I think, upon the size of R, because the XR interactions are determining which product is major.
No, no, no. You did not. It's okay. It's good, but a little bit more. Think a little bit more. What is deciding for this major product and what is deciding for the other major product?
The stability of the transition state. Where is the R location of the R? Axial or
Uh,
vertical?
okay, a little bit more. Okay, close. Little bit more.
Sir, again, please start the recording. It will be helpful if we don't understand.
Sorry. Start the.
Sir, start the.
It is recording only. We are
So
recording
at
already.
at the very basic, it is being determined by whether the enolate is cis or trans.
Exactly, excellent answer. Okay, this is the answer I was looking for. Because yours, whether it forms a cis enolate or trans enolate, that exactly decides whether it will form what kind of transition state and eventually the product. Got it? Now you all of you understood it. So first you take this one, whether it is forming a cis enolate or a trans enolate, that is the decisive factor. Correct, isn't it? So if you form cis enolate, then your syn aldol will be the major one. If you form trans enolate, then your trans enolate will be the major one. If you form cis enolate, it goes through preferably by this transition state to this is the syn aldol, from cis enolate to syn aldol. Now you can see it properly, correct? Similarly, if you get this trans enolate, then you get the anti aldol as the major product by this favorable transition state. Clear? Everybody, it is clear now? Absolutely. Now, then the question comes, what guides or what matters for them to form cis enolate or trans enolate? That is then the question, next question.
So it
Yeah.
is always form depend upon the cis and trans, or there are some exceptions for the same.
Mostly it is based on this cis and trans. Okay. So the guiding factor is what leads it to cis. And actually your question I can understand. There are many cases you will see that the ratio of cis enolate and trans enolate are not very far, maybe 45-55 or 40-60. That time what will happen? That is your question, right? So those kind of situation also comes. We have to now ensure that we make them restricted into one sort of thing based on what we want. Let's say our target molecule is anti-aldol. Then we would like to force it to form a trans enolate. Let's say we want a syn aldol. Then we will try to make it as a cis enolate. Got it? So now let's see how can we change those. What I was saying is, let's say you have this kind of compound, like the one I showed it little bit before. You take LDA and you get cis enolate, trans enolate. Now, when this R group is very bulky, let's say tertiary butyl group, then you get your cis enolate as 98%. Makes absolute sense because it is so much bulky. If the methyl is this side, there will be a lot of steric interaction, so it has to be cis enolate. So you have a 98% of cis enolate contribution and only 2% of the trans enolate. But if R is ethyl group, okay, if R is ethyl, then what will happen? In that case, the interaction is a bit less. So it has a possibility to form more amount of 70% of your transenolate. Okay, because in this case maybe your this R group, that is it would be ethyl here. So this R group, if it is in this side, it is maybe better, but if the methyl is there, maybe this OLI and Li and methyl interaction may be predominant in that case. By seeing this example, we can say that one. So in that case, we get this 70% of the transenolate. Yeah, tell me.
Can you once repeat on what basis are we saying that the first one is the cis-enolate?
Yeah, so in this case, mainly it is the steric interaction. Mainly, mostly. Major
No, I'm saying why is the first, because the R group and the other alkyl group are trans in the first one, right?
Okay. So here it is tertiary butyl group, and so this one is on the other side. That is what you are saying.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, hold on. I have to also see. I think this one maybe there is a slight mistake. Okay.
So I think R should be on the other
It is
side
fine. It
because
is fine.
orientation is varying there.
Yeah, no. It is perfect. See, cis-enolate is with respect to OLI. Now I got it. Okay, cis-enolate with respect to OLI. So OLI and ME, this is in cis. This is what I also defined it before. Okay. So when this R is tertiary butyl group, this methyl, if it comes to this way, like this way, so this is tertiary butyl group. If this is methyl, then there will be a lot of interaction. That is why it comes this way. So it is the cis is not this methyl and tertiary butyl group. Cis is this methyl and OLI. Could I be clear? Is it
So
clear now?
the OLI and the group which is not R.
Yes.
That too we are defining it. We are deciding cis or trans on basis of those two.
Yeah, so this group and this OLI, these two, if it is the same side, we are saying it is a cis. If these two are opposite, we are calling it as a trans. Okay?
Yes.
Yeah, so now it makes sense because if you have a tertiary butyl group here and a methyl group here, they will have a lot of steric interaction. So this one would like to go to the other side. So that is why this one has a 98%. Okay? But when it is ethyl, the steric interaction is a bit less. So that is why this becomes the smaller one and this becomes the larger one. Okay. So here the steric interaction is the major factor which leads to either the syn-enolate or the trans-enolate. The cis-enolate or the trans-enolate. Okay, clear? So now, if we take now this kind of starting material and we take LDA, then as we have seen from here that because this is a large group, it will form cis-enolate. And now if we take another acceptor, let's an aldehyde, then we are most like to get a syn-aldol as the major product. So here we get, so whether this will be up or this will be down, that will be decided by your transition state. Okay. Syn means either both could be up or both could be down. But that you can decide if you do this transition state. If you do this transition state, then you can easily see whether it would be both up or both down. Okay. So there are many examples that has been given. If you take a cyclic ketone like pentanone, cyclopentanone, then also you can get this kind of enolate where you have still have this bond itself is a, I mean the ring itself acts as a your substituent. And then if you take this one, then you create basically two chiral center, one here, another here. So in this case, as you see, even if the bulkiness does not matter in this case, because in this case, come what may, you can only make transenolate, isn't it? So that is why anti-aldol would always be the major product in this case. Okay, because you cannot make it a cis enolate, so the competition is not there. So this would be your major product. Got it? Clear?
Yes.
There are few groups. So now, so in this case, it depends on your substituent, like what is the R group. Based on this R group, you could tell whether it will form a cis enolate or trans enolate. But let's say in my reaction, let's say I'm making some natural product in my laboratory or some interesting molecule where I do not have this kind of tertiary butyl group. Then what can I do? How can I impose this stereo selectivity uh, in my molecule? So then in those cases, basically the enolate generation step is the crucial step. You can control the steric bulk on that enolate generation step. There are these two examples actually depict this particular phenomena really very excellent way. So what happens is when you take dicyclohexyl BCl, this compound, in this case, or two cyclohexyl groups are there. So you add some base, diethylamine, it picks up this proton, it makes this O negative attacks to this boron center, and then this chlorine leaves. So in this way, you get this intermediate. In this intermediate, these two cyclohexyl groups are really very bulky, and because of that, it does not allow to make it a cis enolate. It always force this moiety to become a trans enolate, okay, which becomes very much favorable. And now if you use an aldehyde, you can predominantly get anti-aldol. If that is what you want, you can follow this pathway. Clear? But now if you follow this kind of boron derivative, okay, here this is a basically BBN derivative, 9-bora bicyclo 331 nonane. So this is actually in short called BBN, okay. Yeah, 9-BBN. So this is the name nomenclature. If you use this one, it may look like a very big moiety, very bulky moiety, but in reality it is not that bulky, okay, because these two chains are tied up on the back side, okay, and that is why this is not a very bulky, and that is why in this case cis enolate predominates. It has been observed from the experiment that in this case cis enolate actually predominates. So in this case, if the RCHO is given, syn aldol becomes the major product. So it has been given that it looks bulky, but actually as not bulky as the previous one, cyclohexyl case, because in this case the molecule is tied back behind the boron center. So the cis enolate is the predominant one. Okay, so these two examples you can remember these two examples for controlling their stereochemistry, okay, of the product. Okay, and this is the last example for today's class. Here we can synthesize maybe a natural product or maybe this kind of product. So how can we make, let's say, where we specifically want this one to be cis, okay. So generally it has started from this kind of starting material. First, this OH has to be protected. So people have used trimethyl silyl chloride. So you silyl protect this one, then use a base to form this enolate. This could be cis enolate preferably. As you know, there is a bulky group here, so it would like to form the cis enolate. Then you take this kind of aldehyde, okay, because this is cis enolate, it would like to give syn aldol. Then just chop off this the silyl protection by using acid. So this acid is gone. Now para-iodide oxidation. This kind of oxidation will be taught in a little bit in a higher class, maybe the next semester or so. So you use this para-iodide and then it will form this kind of cyclic ring, followed by this ring opening would oxidize this one. So okay, so this will go as a acetone and then you get this carboxylic acid. So that is how you get this compound with this kind of specific stereochemistry. Okay, that is how generally many long route synthesis or the natural product synthesis are done in some cases. So this basically, this is a simple aldol reaction, but this simple aldol reaction can be very effective and very useful when you are trying to make, let's say, some interesting molecules or some useful molecules. Then you can use this kind of reaction strategies in your reaction sequence. Let's say this is your sequence, you just use one reaction, but that reaction is very crucial, which fixes the stereochemistry of your final molecule that you are looking for. Okay, I think that is all for today. Now let me ask you, is everybody understood today's class, or do you think we need to sit again next class also? We have to repeat this one?
Sir, I think you should repeat it again because there was a time when I lost my path from this.
Okay, yeah, actually this class I can totally understand. With blackboard, this class would have been really interesting. Okay, and you could have also understood much better way. This I can totally understand, but online mode, this is basically the drawback, I think. But yeah, sure, I will in the next class again I will explain these two mechanism at least. Okay, how these are done. Okay, so let's have a quick recap. The quick recap is, what did we say? In first case, you have unsymmetrical ketone, you get one enantiomer. You have substituted one, you get diastereoisomer. You have 4 isomer. One is major, another is minor. How do you decide? That is where we started. Then we said cis to syn, trans to anti. How does it form? We gave two things. One is cyclohexane. You take the chair form, which is more stable than the board form. Another is we have C phase and Re phase. You use C phase, you get this product, because here the interaction is less. You do a Re phase, here the interaction is more. This transition state is less favorable, you get minor product. This is your major product, but this is just half of it. You took only just cis-enolate and you made it syn and Re phase and C phase. Now make it trans-enolate. This is your trans-enolate. You first do the C phase. You have this transition state. You make anti-aldol. You just take a Re phase. Then this is also not favorable, but you get syn-aldol. But here again, this one is your major product. So now the question is, what determines which major is actual major? As you said, that the trans or cis-enolate actually determines. That means which one will actually form which enolate, that determines your major product contribution. So then we are coming to this example where we are saying that mainly the steric interaction that leads or that dictates which one will be the major one. If it is very bulky group, cis-enolate would be the major one. If it is smaller group, trans-enolate could be also the major one. So then accordingly, you have cis-enolate, you get syn-aldol as the major product. This is a particular example where it is tied back to trans-enolate. It cannot form cis-enolate. So you only get anti-aldol. Okay. Then we said there are pathway where in your starting material maybe there is no bulky group, but how do you then impose the stereochemistry? There is a way. So basically you trap your enolate with this kind of boron compounds, which basically helps to determine the geometry of your enolate. So if it is very bulky, it force it to be into the trans-enolate, so anti-aldol would be your major product. But in some cases it may not be that bulky, so then in that case cis-enolate could be your major product, so then syn-aldol would be your major product. Then we gave an example of a sequence of reactions where we use this kind of aldol condensation with the stereochemistry, that is the crucial one that you develop here in this reaction sequence to give a product that is desired by the one. Okay, got it? Clear? Next class we'll definitely revise it one more time and just study it at home. If still there are any question, we'll take it in the next class. Or if you have any question anymore, that also you can answer it now. Any question?
So when will we are having our next test?
Next test will be on next Monday. Okay, because this
Okay.
one, as you said, in the next class that would be on Thursday 18th, we will have to again repeat this one. So I give you some more time. So on 22nd, we will have class test on aldol condensation, only on aldol condensation. Okay?
Okay, sir.
Yeah, on 22nd. Okay. Okay, just hold on. I'll take the attendance. Okay, done. Okay, then see you in the next class.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.